After days of squeaking by with weird winds, the Guardians finally put some distance between themselves and the Chicago White Sox and beat them like we expected. We'll talk about that win and we'll talk about why it came at an important time for the Guardians on today's Locked On Guardians.
You are Locked On Guardians, your daily podcast on the Cleveland Guardians. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome on into another episode of Locked On Guardians. After a sweep of the White Sox, their first sweep of 2025, we'll talk about a win that finally inspires some confidence in this team.
Sweeping up here.
That's more like vacuuming. Jeff's taking out the trash there.
Guardians
finally took out the trash. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about why it was important for them to find their momentum in this one. We will talk about their schedule ahead, and a pitching prospect is making his case. First, I am Justin Latta. I have been covering the Guardians minor league system since 2007. I'll be making my captain's debut tonight at Lake County. Let me know if you're going to be there. News Herald, Morning Journal, where I contribute currently, and the next year in Cleveland.substack.com.
I'm Jeff Ellis. I used to write about baseball at Scotland 24/7, where I was a nationally featured writer before being one of the first people focused on to talk about baseball. And yeah, let's get into it. Sweep. They are now halfway to their 2023 sweep total, is what I told Justin off air. I got to watch half of this game, and it was an entertaining game. It was nice to see a lot of the positives happening. Players stepping up, performing well, stringing things together. They overcame adversity. Listen, they still had, the wild pitches and the bat. Bo Naylor needs to stop trying to backhand things, just like Brian Rocchio needs to stop trying to ever steal bases. I know it was a planned double steal, but it was so poorly executed. And I know I bring up those negative moments because there were opportunities for this team to get behind or get down because things didn't go well early, and they believed in themselves. They fought through. Manzardo answered back immediately, and they just kept performing, kept adding to it, didn't let up. And I mean, frankly, I felt like all parts of this went well. The bullpen was fantastic. There were no defensive errors. I don't think we've said that for a while. We've got one. We can put one on the counter. But the boneheaded plays are a zero, unfortunately. But yeah, there was just a lot of positives. It was a complete game, and it was a solid win.
It was, yeah. I think you're right. That home run from Manzardo after they got down 1-0 is really important because, and I want to say too, the first inning, not necessarily Gavin's fault. There were two wild pitches. Bo Naylor could have been a little bit better. Yeah, Williams had a rough first inning, could have executed a little bit better. He got off to kind of a slow start pitch count wise because of that inning. But that first ball of the game, that bloop ball to left field, that dropped in. It was kind of a no man's land. It wasn't a hard hit ball. So that kind of got him off to, kind of an ugly start. That ball had a 760 expected batting average, but 65 exit velocity off the bat of Nick Maton. So yeah, that could have really gotten them off to a bad start. But really, this whole series has been like that for them. The White Sox haven't really been hitting. Obviously, the White Sox scored first though on Tuesday. So did they score first? No, because that was a shutout, right?
On Tuesday, yeah, that was no. That wasn't that the one.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Wednesday, the White Sox scored first. Wednesday, the White Sox. No, yeah, the White Sox scored first on Wednesday as well. So that's 2 days in a row. Cleveland has fought back and scored some runs. This one just felt like it was a little more. Because it was power, right? And surprisingly, so far this year, the Guardians, in terms of power, are looking pretty good. They've
been right top 10 all year.
Yeah, they're right now. They're 7th in home runs at 16. They're right behind Arizona at 17. The Cubs have 18. The Athletics have 19. The Angels have 24. That's bizarre to say.
Joe Adele had 2 in 1 inning, and his numbers aren't good. He's got 2 in 1 inning already.
Yeah, they had a bunch against Cleveland too, unfortunately. But yeah Cleveland, top 10 in home runs right now. They're also, I think, up there in ISO. If you look at that too, they're top 10 in isolated power, which is again slugging minus batting average to give you a true kind of assessment of how much power you're hitting for. So they're in the top 10 when it comes to that, and that's a good thing. You had Stephen Kwan, who did everything well today that you want to do at the top of the order.
Carrying over from his throw. The throw charged him up yesterday, and he stayed charged all day.
And they had a lot of scoring opportunities. They got the
And they
big
took
hits when it
advantage.
mattered. They did. They did. They got big hits when it mattered. They continue to create opportunities. I mean, they had 3 more walks in this one too. So, and you didn't have a lot of guys with a lot of different hits, but you had Quan had a big day. Manzardo had a big hit. You had a couple guys with a couple of hits too. So everybody except for like Jose Ramirez, oddly enough, in this one kind of had something to do with it. Santana only had a walk, but I mean Manzardo had the RBIs. Nolan Jones finally got a hit, which was good to see for his confidence. Noel and Naylor both had hits, which is good, and then Naylor had a walk. Steeman went 0 for 4, which we could talk about Dale Steeman a little bit, but it's just nice to see when you have the offense. 6 runs is always nice to see on the board to spread things out a little bit. And, you're able to avoid using the big guns in your bullpen. You're able to go to a couple other guys. And those guys were fantastic. We'll talk more about the pitching in a little bit. But yeah, except for the only thing you could point out that was kind of ugly was like, the first inning getting off to a slow start and that blue ball and some wild pitches. And then, Brian Rocchio's running error. Outside of that, everything went well for Cleveland in this game, and I think you could feel a little more confident. This was not they only won because the White Sox, are bad and they gave it to them. No, the Guardians actually looked like they should have won this game today. Not to say they shouldn't have won the first 2 games. I mean, they easily could have lost those games if had the
Yeah.
ball the other way a couple times. But there was no ambiguity in this one. Like Cleveland was the better team. They played like it. I think that's important to acknowledge because we've been waiting for this kind of win against the White Sox this week. We're waiting for this kind of win all year, and it's coming at a good time because the schedule coming up we're going to talk about I think is a factor here.
And I think the other thing to point out too is Jonathan Cannon as a pitcher is his best pitch is probably his changeup. I should have checked Savant to see how much he threw it. And we know Jose really struggles with it. So it's not surprising that he had the
He
0-4
threw a ton of
today.
changeups. He
Yeah.
threw 30 changeups.
But this team traditionally as a whole, on top of just Jose as a whole, they have struggled with the changeup. And today they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Like and his is a good one. It's not like I'm saying it's his best pitch and he's I know the numbers aren't grand on Cannon, but it's at least a 55, maybe a 60 changeup, but it's a nasty pitch. It's what got him through, the SEC at Georgia, and it's what's got him to the big leagues. So for Cleveland to step up and actually hit that, I think is something that also stands out. And they took advantage of their opportunities. They put things together. Not a lot of guys reached base multiple times, but the ones who did, it's nice when you see like Bo Naylor doing that, Brian Rocchio, some of the guys who have struggled having a solid game. So it's, continuing to see incremental improvement is always going to be something I'm watching in the early going when you have so many young guys on this team.
Yeah, and not just only. Well, I don't know how many young guys do we really have though. Like Quan's not young.
I mean,
Ramirez isn't young. It's Manzardo and who? And Noel and Naylor and Rocchio? Like
that's still 4. That's nearly half your lineup is guys in their first or second year.
that's true. Okay. I mean,
That's
Nolan Jones
still
is what in his third year?
technically, but it's like he also his second year was a lost season, but I mean he doesn't quite count. And I guess Naylor, it's his third year too. I mean Jones and Naylor are in the same boat, but
Yeah.
it's a team where when you're looking at it, though, it's like we talk all the time. Development is not linear. Jones and Naylor, we still don't know for sure what they are. We don't know what Rocchio is. We don't know Steeman. We don't know necessarily Manzardo. It is a team with a lot of question marks, and I know we always get people commenting about that. And again, I'm going to point out, like, unless you're the Dodgers, every team, the Padres are running out Oscar Gonzalez in the outfield. Like, even good teams are running out question marks and unknowns. This is not 90s baseball anymore. This is a situation where every team has those question marks. But I think they're doing a good job, and it's nice to see good games for those young guys.
It is, yeah, and like I said, different contributors at Quan. Yep, that's the important thing. Is like what was so good about this offense last year is it was not the same guy every night. Different guys were stepping up, and that's what you're gonna have here too. Because again, Jose was 0 for 4 in this one. He took some pretty bad swings. I'll say Jose took some pretty bad swings in this one, but you're gonna have good nights like that from Quan. And Stephen Quan is a marvel, man, because like his first at bat, he hits that home, or not the first at bat, hits a home run, but he goes now, hits a home run his second at bat, and his third at bat, he ends up, shooting the ball the other way with the bases loaded for a base hit that drives in 2 runs or a run. Like just the ability to attack an inside pitch or the first pitch like that for a home run, and then the next at bat have the bat control and the kind of versatility as an offensive player, like the different things you can do with the bat to be able to slap one the other way for a base with the bases loaded. It's just really uncommon. And again, like we had some people commenting too. We're talking about the contract extension that, may or may not be a rumor or whatever. I still say do it. I don't know. Pay the man. Like, I don't know if they're going to do it, but I say pay the man because he continues to have skills that are just so incredible for an outfielder. And yeah, for a left fielder who doesn't hit for a ton of power, but man, just to have that stability in left field and that level of production, and to be able to get the different kind of outcomes from him, the things he does. Like, he may not run as much anymore because of his hamstrings, and you want to be careful of those, but he's got the arm in left field and the versatility as an offensive player to work accounts, work a walk, hit a home run, go the other way and drive in runs. He plays situational baseball, and that's valuable. I don't know, like, just how many hitters have we seen like him over the years? Like there's still some very much Michael Brantley to that game. Like, he may not have Michael Brantley's power because he's just not as big and physical as Michael Brantley, but like, I don't know, he's a very rare, he's such a unicorn hitter. Like, him and Jose, I guess, are both unicorns, but to me, Quan just does so many different things for this offense that they rely on, and it's incredibly valuable. I'd like to see them locked up because I don't know who else they have coming through the pipeline that's going to be the next Stephen Kwan. Like, that was a lucky find for them too, and lucky that he worked on all those things.
Would you say to pay the man his money? Comment below with the reference. The other thing that stood out too, though, in this one to me is, and they had 10 hard hit balls. Even Jose had a hard hit ball. Like, the only people who didn't have a hard hit ball in this game were Schneemann and Jones. Like, everyone got in on that game. Everyone had, and as we know, the hard hit ball is important because those are what turn into your best outcomes and are more likely to be productive. So everyone was hammering it, and that's also important. And then you look on the other side of it, like, Gavin Williams only had 4 hard hits, and the Junis and Cantillo both went deep for a reliever, and they each only had 1. So the pitching staff limited, and they took advantage of it. And
yeah. We'll talk about Gavin Williams' performance. We'll talk about the bullpen. Jeff will give us 3 stars. We'll do a little box score bingo. We'll talk about the Guardians' schedule coming up and why this win was important for them, why this kind of win was important for them. We also got a pitching prospect who continues to make his case that we'll wrap up with on today's Locked On Guardians. Get supplies you need from the site for the skilled trades. Supply House, whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, electrical, or Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Easy to use website. It's packed with helpful resources, the latest product info on everything to help you get the job done right. They have a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400 top brands. You'll find exactly what you need, delivered fast from coast to coast. If you need help with an order, Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service. You always talk to a real person. Great parts, great people. That makes things a lot better. And for the trade pros who are looking for an extra edge, they have a free Trade Master program that offers exclusive perks for you, like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, discounts in every order. Thousands of skilled trade professionals are already taking advantage of this program. Now it is your turn. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM. Start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, you're going to use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order at supplyhouse.com. Thank you for making Locked On Guardians your first listen today and every day, wherever you get podcasts. We do this every day. We are giving you Guardians insights, looking at last night's game, looking at the games ahead, giving you the why behind the what happened in the games. We're doing this every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. If you like what you're hearing, again, please always make sure you're downloading automatically and wherever you get audio, wherever you get your podcast, Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, all that kind of good stuff. Set to auto download so you never miss an episode. Set to make sure you auto download on or hit the bell on YouTube so you never miss a video as well. I think I'm going to do a video from Lake County on Friday night after the game, just kind of giving them a quick analysis of that game. So we might have 2 videos on Friday, the analysis of the Guardians game and analysis of the Captains, what I saw there. So stick around for that. If you like what you're hearing too, join us over on the Insiders group. Join subtext.com/LockedOnGuardians. The link is in your show description as well. You can come over, chat with us. I'll provide some insights from Lake County tomorrow, Friday night as well. Over there, Jeff's got some draft stuff he's been working on that's in there. We'll have some bonus content. You're on mute right now, Jeff, so make sure you unmute yourself because I'm already looking ahead at that.
I was prepared. I was going to say Andrew Fisher at Tennessee, going through some of that advanced data that I got my hands on, is really standing out early. in terms of guys who maybe weren't talking about as much. So if you want,
Yeah.
that's a nugget of draft info. Andrew Fisher is, I always talk about with Travis Bazzani. You're looking for the guy who does everything. Is green across the board. Amongst hitters, it's Ava Arqueta, and it's Andrew Fisher. So I'll just throw that in.
Yeah,
That's the 1 minute of draft talk.
Check the insiders folder for more information like that from Jeff. All right, let's talk about Gavin Williams real quick, Jeff. I think this is very much like the offense today. This is what you expected from the offense, was a game where they went out and they dominated and they looked like the better team. Gavin Williams looked like he was a better pitcher than the White Sox had hitters. So I'm going to count this as a positive step. I think a lot of people, I guess it depends on your outlook in life. Like, are you going to say, well, it's the White Sox, he should crush them? And you and I wanted to see this kind of performance. We said this on yesterday's show. If you're an everydayer, you heard us say this yesterday on the show, that we said we wanted 5 innings and we wanted 8, 9, 10 strikeouts from Gavin Williams. We got 7 and 2 walks, only 3 hits. Like you said, Jeff, only 4 hard hit balls. He did a pretty good job. This is the kind of performance we expected to see. He bounced back from the last one where he was efficiency, still something he has to work towards. Like, yes. I don't think Gavin Williams is efficient as we want him to be, but he took some good steps here. I mean, he got plenty of swings and misses. He got 16 overall, and he threw his sweeper more than his four seam, Jeff. I think that's the most important thing here. This is a guy who I think, since he's debuted in the pros, has been like 60% four seam fastball because he's got a good fastball. He gets a lot of induced vertical break. He throws it hard. It's a good fastball. He threw 41 sweepers in this game and 41 fastballs, the same exact amount. I have never seen Gavin Williams do that before. So I'm going to say, A, he dominated a lineup he should have dominated. B, he showed a change in approach. He didn't go all fastballs in this one. And again, you could say, well, he should dominate this White Sox lineup. He's a better pitcher than they are hitters. Yes, he is. But he's also got to go out there and do the work, and he did that. So I will take that over a guy who struggles to put away the White Sox. And what did he do, Jeff? He put him away, and he did it doing something different.
Again, I think if you're going to go out there and complain about him having a good game because of who he faced, I feel sorry for you. Like, it's just a no fun life. Like, okay, yeah. So he took care of business against the White Sox. Guess what? Good players do that. They take care of business against everyone. They don't underestimate a team. Like, what was this? It felt like a year ago this team underestimated the White Sox. I don't think I said that correctly there. And they lost, games they shouldn't have. They had those games they should not have lost, and they did. They took the White Sox seriously, and the White Sox I like Shane Smith a lot. Sean Burke is a guy that a lot of people I respect really believe in. Today they had a more Cannon is, he's a guy on a bad team. Like, I do think he might be more of a quad A guy, and they stepped up into that. And then Gavin, how many Guardians fans have been, did Robert not play in this one? Now that I think about it, I don't remember seeing him, but either way, he took care of business. He's steadily improving. A year ago, we would have killed for a start like this against any team when he was scuffled almost every outing. Like, he did not put things together a year ago. So it's growth. And again, like, for people
the approach is growth.
There are people who want to be unhappy, who want to dislike the team, who love to jump in the comments and either be, overall negative or just only focus on the negative. And hey, if that's your view, I don't know how you can be anything excited for what we've seen starting with spring into his 2 starts and the continued growth pattern with Gavin Williams so far this year.
Yeah, I think we need to acknowledge too, and some of this is us too. Like, I'll say I maybe not you so much. I was buying into the hype in spring training, but a lot of people were buying on hype in spring training. A lot of people we like as pitching analysts were buying into the hype of Gavin Williams
Everyone
in spring
was.
Training.
Every pitching analyst.
So I think we expected, okay, what he's doing in spring, he's going to do in the major leagues, and it's going to happen right away. And, I think we have to acknowledge that this is his first full healthy season in the majors. He was up in 2023, and then he, got hurt in 2024. He debuted a little later in 2023, and he got hurt in 2024 and wasn't good when he came back. So this is the first time he's starting a season in the majors fully healthy. So he's still a young player too, and development, same thing applies to him. It's not going to be linear. So maybe myself and other people maybe Aaron thinking that maybe we gave the impression that, oh, he's going to dominate right out of the gate. He has the stuff to do it, but just because you have the stuff to do it doesn't mean it's going to happen right away every time out. So you still look for performances like this when you can. Speaking of guys that are dominating, I don't think anybody we did an emergency show when it happened, Jeff. When Jakob Junis got signed, people were like, okay, it's Jakob Junis. You don't need
There
to
are
do an
some positive
emergency
traits,
show.
though. We did say that. Like, this is a guy, it was limited innings, but he had shown. Hear me out. The Brewers' pitching development is better than the Guardians. And Tobias Myers, they fixed. And where did Junis get powered up? With the Milwaukee Brewers.
Milwaukee Brewers, he did, yeah. Well, he started last year with the Reds, didn't he? Or did he go to the Reds after Milwaukee?
I think it was
Oh,
Milwaukee to the Reds, wasn't it? Or was it the other way around?
I think it was the other way around because the Reds.
But both those are strong developmental teams. At least the major league level for the Reds has been really good as well. But the Brewers are kind of on a whole nother plane. Honestly, I think they might be the best place for pitcher development of any organization. I'm going to be very honest.
Could be.
But he had some really interesting data.
Yeah. Jakob Junis in 7 innings this year. 4 hits allowed, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts, no runs allowed. He's got a hold. He's only throwing 89. He's thhrowing a lot of sliders. I don't know how he's doing it. I'm looking at the Savant page and I'm like, all right, I don't really know where this is coming from, but he's doing it and I'll take it. He looks good. And he's been 20 pitches in 2 innings, 1 strikeout, 1 hard hit ball. He dominated. Like, this has been an invaluable guy for them early on that has staved off a little bit of regression and overuse for other guys. All right. We talked about Williams, talked about the pitching staff. Joey Cantillo, how we should give Joey Cantillo love. This
definitely.
is 2 outings in a row. Yeah, 2 outings in a row for him that was really good. I was a little bit worried about him in the bullpen role. Maybe he's finding something. I don't know. He's still pretty good. Jeff, do you got anything on Joey Cantillo? And let's quickly do 3 stars and box score bingo.
Again, we don't want to do knee jerk one way or the other. It's been a few outings, but it is nice to see him rebound. He has the stuff to be potentially really good back there. Like even like a 7, 8, 9 guy. It just comes down to command. And these last few games, we've seen the command. He had 1 walk today. So hopefully we'll see more of it. And then I would love for this to become an uncomfortable bullpen situation where you're like, we don't know what to do. Sabrowski's healthy. Like, how do we react? I would love for this to become an uncomfortable bullpen situation. Let's make this plus as Walters. Crowded of a house as we can. Plus Walters. Let's make it. Really off topic. Today I was doing University of Miami research. The Cleveland Guardians have a really weird connection of having played or having had play for them almost every exceptional pro University of Miami pitcher. And then they added Walters and Ciccone. Very weird. Very random. But box score bingo. 3 stars. Quan, clearly. That gives him 5. That ties him with Santana for most on the team. Manzardo, 3. Only had the 1 hit, but it was a big hit. And then you have to give it to Williams with his start and his performance. Considered Rocchio, considered the bullpen. I don't think I can get away with cheating this year, though, when I'm tracking it and saying the bullpen gets 1 on their own. Guardians had 15 opportunities. That was 10 hits, 3 walks, 2 errors. That's 5 runs. Typically, they got to 6. Because they had some extra base hits, and they also the balk helped and 1 stolen base, though also got stealing. On the other side, the White Sox had 8 opportunities. That should come out 2 to 3 runs. They got 1. All, again, good teams find ways to win. Bad teams find ways to lose. The Chicago White Sox underperformed their expectation in every game in this series. That's why, just easy way to point out why this is a terrible team.
And it's also important to point out the Guardians needed this win at this time because the schedule coming up, we're going to take a look at that, and we're going to take a look at a pitching prospect also who had a good day in the minors. We'll talk about why he's making his case, and we will talk about the weekend series ahead against the Royals and what to expect on the rest of today's Locked On Guardians. All right, Jeff, I thought it was really important, the timing of this game, to win because the Guardians schedule coming up, not only to get these 3 wins in a row, but to have the kind of the first dominant win over the White Sox in this series, and they had a good dominant win over the Royals, I suppose, and the Friday night game against the Angels they dominated too. But they have the Royals coming to town this weekend, who are 7-6 right now, and they are a division contender. They were good. They made the playoffs last year, and after that, you've got obviously you play Pittsburgh at some point in this schedule too. But you got Baltimore. I know Baltimore's struggling, but they're still, a team that made the playoffs a year ago. Still a good team.
Did they? Or were they the team on the outside?
The Royals knocked them out.
That's the team the Royals
knocked out in the first round.
Trying to remember who was the last cut. I couldn't remember. You're right.
The Royals knocked out the Orioles in the first round. So you've got the Royals. You got 3 playoff teams coming in. You have are not coming in, but you're playing. You have the Royals coming in. You're playing the Orioles. Then you play Pittsburgh. Then you have the Yankees and you have the Red Sox and the Twins all to finish off this month. Like the Twins are struggling right now, which is great for the Guardians. But the Yankees are tough. The Red Sox are looking pretty good this year. The Baltimore's still a talented team. Obviously, Kansas City's still a talented team. So these 3 wins were important. You had to sweep the White Sox because you kind of stubbed your toe against the Angels. You right the ship, and you finally get some momentum. You beat the White Sox the way you should beat them in the last game of the series, heading into an important division series, and you want to do good in that one because then you've got a tougher schedule coming up. So I think this was an absolutely important series to win, an important series to sweep, and an important game for them to take hopefully the leap from just winning to actually performing as they should expect to perform.
I will say the one thing that is in their favor, though, even though the schedule is getting harder, is the high end pitching. They're not having to face as much of it. We talked about Jose Soriano. It's only Raggins this time. They get Michael Lorenzen, who's very close to being a fringe guy. They get Bubic, who's never really like established himself. Dean Kremer is struggling in the early going. Sagano is a guy I didn't think should get like more than 5 million, and he got like 13. I don't understand that. And I got to look at Pittsburgh, but at least on paper, it's setting up where maybe they have a chance to avoid Skeens in that one. So I think even though the schedule is harder, they're getting at least some positive matchups. But I agree. You want to have a positive stretch, especially when you're facing, 2 teams in your division. Luckily, the Twins continue to be the most hurt team in sports. I guess lucky for everyone who isn't a Twins fan. But the Yankees have had their ups and downs in the early going. There's not. I know they had the big performances in week 1, and then we really haven't had as much talk about torpedo bats. Like the most talk about torpedo bats was the fact that today Schneemann was using one. So it's yeah. So it's still a situation like the Blue Jays are technically in first in the East right now. Don't look at Jimenez's game for the last week and a half. It's been rough. But yeah, they have that. The Twins are 4th in the division right now. The Orioles are last in the East. So and this is why we always say it's early. Like, I don't think the Orioles are going to finish the year last in the East. I don't think the Braves will finish the year last in their division. The Pirates are last in the Central. It's kind of a weird situation where, like, on paper, these teams are all better than they are. But right now, based on where they are, it's actually an easier stretch because, the Angels have played well in the early going and some of that other bits and pieces. But, it's too early to really, to look too much at the standings. It's more the fun of it to see where teams are right now.
Yeah, these are still a couple playoff teams that you're playing in a row. So that's the important thing. They're a playoff team from a year ago. I want to get into what you said about Chris Bubic, and we'll talk about the pitching matchups for this weekend as we get out of here on this episode. But before we get to that, we got to talk about Parker Messick's start. Friend of the show, Parker Messick, that is, of course. This was an impressive start for him on Thursday night against the White Sox. I'm told it's pronounced Worcester. It's spelled like Worcester, but it's spelled
it's Worcester. Worcester.
Whatever.
Worcester.
5 innings, 8 strikeouts, 1 hit, 18 swings and misses. If you're watching on YouTube, we have the Savant chart up. 6 swings and misses. I want to point out the 6 swings and misses on the fastball because it's cold, it's bitter, it's a little misty this time of year in all parts of the eastern hemisphere or western hemisphere, but east of the Mississippi River. We'll go that way for my geography lesson for today. So it's hard to hit. I'm not going to say it's not hard to hit, but it's also hard to pitch in this weather too, because you have a harder time finding the grips on your pitches, right? And you're trying to get a feel for all your pitches. Parker Messick only throwing 90-92 in this start. He had 96 in his first start. This was 90-92. He topped that at 94, which is more typical what we've seen from him. But he got 6 swings and misses on his fastball. And if you're looking at the zone contact rating in this game against him for a fastball, 69%. So only 69% of the time did somebody make contact in the zone against this fastball, which is not thrown particularly hard. 90-92 is not that hard topping at 94. So to get 6 swings and misses on that, plus 8 on the fastball, and to limit the ability to make good zone contact against him is really impressive. And this Red Sox lineup, I'll let you kind of talk about how you feel about the AAA lineup for the Red Sox, but Parker Messick has looked really good his first 2 starts. And let's remember that there have been Guardians pitching prospects over the last couple of years, even Andrew Walters, who have struggled when they hit AAA because for whatever reason, Major League Baseball makes you use a different baseball in AA. They don't make you start using the Major League Baseball till AAA. So it takes some time to get used to the feel of that ball and how it affects spin, how the seams feel, just how you throw the ball is different. Parker Messick had not had any of those issues so far. Both of his starts have been really good. He has not a lot of hard contact. Convince me Parker Messick is not going to be in this rotation sometime this year. Convince me. Because I'm not. I think he has to be.
I don't think he is. And it comes down to this. You got Tanner and Gavin, right? Luis Ortiz, I was talking off air about this. His stuff plus rating is high. His last start was solid. They didn't trade for him to bump him out of the rotation. Shane's coming back. Maybe Messick's the fifth guy, but again, they're going to want to try a lot of guys, and I don't think they're going to want to rush the rookie, and eventually they're going to have other pieces. I think maybe he gets an opportunity in points, but he's also same thing we talked about Logan Allen. If he's not bringing that velocity up a little more, it doesn't make as strong of a case. He's got to get back to what he did in start one.
Do you want Logan Allen? Let's say, okay, Shane Bieber's not coming back till, let's say, July, right? The All-Star break. Do you want to see some June starts from Logan Allen, the way things have been going so far? Or do you want to see some June starts from Parker Messick? Who do you want to see? Be honest.
It's equal.
I know it's
equal to me because again, like I talked off air, it's like some of those guys are quad A guys he faced. That whole lineup is struggling. Like I think he's a good prospect, but I think he's a 5. Like I think he's, what we're saying about Parker Messick is what we said about Logan Allen at the same point.
It is. You're right.
It's the exact same thing that we said about Logan Allen. So I don't say that to denigrate his performance and not to say that he couldn't be good, because I thought that Logan Allen would be a slam dunk starting pitcher, and we're saying the same thing about Messick. But the pathway is muddy for him, and they're going to want him to get a lot of reps in AAA. The only time guys didn't get a lot of reps at that level were they didn't have a choice. It's when they never. I don't know.
I still think I'd rather see Messick at some point, and some of that I will acknowledge could be the backup QB syndrome. I always say in Cleveland, we have especially not just the Browns, but every team, we have backup QB syndrome. We always think the guy who hasn't failed yet is the guy that's going to get it done because we're watching the one guy fail and he's not getting it done. So we think the guy that could replace him is the guy that we want to see because he hasn't failed yet. To me, that's backup QB syndrome. And that could be some of it here with Parker Messick. I agree. But I'm going to keep an eye on how he's doing this year. And I think
it's definitely positive.
Yeah, I think it's a great start. Zach Kent also had a good game too. I'll point that out. We haven't really talked much about Zach Kent, but he was throwing 96 in this one. He had a ton of swing and misses too. And like Jeff said, that's not a great AAA lineup for that team, for the Red Sox team.
They do have the best prospect in baseball, but he's off to a slow start.
Yeah, and he's the only guy in that lineup. But he was throwing, Zach Kent, at least like we're talking about raw materials, right?
Yeah.
Zach Kent, 92 to 96.
And he's had health issues in the past, which, maybe he's back.
And he spins the heck out of the ball. Like everything he throws has high spin rates. So I wouldn't count on Zach Kent for making an impact this year too if this keeps up. All right, let's look at the Guardians matchups for the weekend. Let's get out of here for this one. So Friday night we get Tanner Bybee versus Chris Bubich. That's a great thing to me. Tanner, we know, is going to be hungry to come back from his last start and prove that he was better than that. So he'll be motivated to throw really well. And you're getting your ace against the Royals to start the series. I will say Chris Bubich is an interesting matchup for them. He was a good reliever for the Royals a year ago, coming off Tommy John. Only had 27 innings, but he was really good at the bullpen. He's back in the rotation. If you go look at his Savant page, Jeff, everything is red. Everything looks good. He is not giving him hard hits. He's not walking guys. He's getting whiffs. He's got some decent extension. He doesn't throw that hard, but everything is positive for him this year. So I will say that's a tough matchup for the Guardians. He's been off to a good start. So we'll see what happens there. Hopefully Lane Thomas is back because they are facing a lefty, and Lane Thomas, they need him against them because as much as I like Nolan Jones and I think things are going to start progressing positively for Nolan Jones, I think you want Lane Thomas in the lineup against a lefty because he needs to start doing things against lefties at some point. I'll be curious to see if we see Angel Martinez at some point too, because I just don't want to watch Daniel Steven anymore either. I want to see, you got two lefties this weekend. Give me some Angel Martinez, whether it's second base or outfield, because I just don't want to see Daniel Schneemann against any of these guys at this point. Saturday, you got Luis Ortiz and Michael Lorenzen. Like you said, Lorenzen's off to a decent start, but he's, still kind of a 5-6 kind of guy at this point in his career. He's not consistent. And then Sunday, you got Ben Lively versus Cole Reagans, which was the season opener matchup in Kansas City. Ragans will be tough. He wasn't really good the last time out against the Guardians, but he's still a tough pitcher. He's a Cy Young contender, and Lively is lively. He gives you a chance to win, and you just got to score enough runs to support him, and you got to make enough plays defensively, which for the most part they've done with him behind him. So should be a good weekend. I again, this is a home. The Guardians are undefeated at home. I don't think they're going to sweep this one. We kind of talked ourselves into an Angels sweep earlier this last week. Didn't happen. They got to sweep against the White Sox. Just win the series. Win Friday and then take one of the final two. You win your bye start and then win one of the final two, and you're good.
Yeah, Bubic has just been the king of inconsistency since his Stanford days. For a guy who led the league and led the Cape in strikeouts his final year, always a good sign actually for a player, but relatively inconsistent. And this team set up to beat lefties. Like, it's still a team that favors left-handed, hits better against left-handed pitching. So that's going to be interesting. You really want to take those first two, because as well as they played against Cole Ragans, it's still Cole Ragans. It's still a really good pitcher. So you really want to try to knock out Friday, Saturday, so you can then go in with a chance of the sweep and, more importantly, win the series. And 4 series they're 2-2.
Yeah, they're 2-2 so far coming off the sweep. So, yeah, hopefully the Guardians can get 2 out of 3 this weekend. That's my expectation. I don't know. Do you expect them to do anything else? I'm going to go ahead and say 2 out of 3. That's my expectation for the series. Win Friday, and then again try to find a way to win one of the last 2. It's very hard to sweep. It's very hard to sweep any team. It's very hard to sweep 2 series in a row. But I think you want to win this one for sure.
Those first 2 games, they should take care of business. Those first 2 games, I think they have the advantage in both pitching matchups in those first 2 games. In the third game, clearly they do not. So you want to Kansas City's still got some guys who are scuffling, much like Cleveland. It is a team with a lot of unknowns and a lot of yet to be determined in their lineup.
Yeah, you'd like to see Luis Ortiz build on his last start too against the Angels and do better against the Royals. Put 2 starts in a row together for him as well. All right, we'll be back on Monday with Monday morning headlines from the Royals Guardians series this weekend. We'll get into some minor league action as well, because we know we'll wrap up another week of minor league baseball, the first full week of minor league baseball from AAA to High A, or Single A, I should say. Plenty to talk about there. CJ Kafis, Parker Messick, our guy Luis Murillo finally had a home run. We'll cover more of that.
Huge game Monday. Today.
Yeah, fun time.
Yep. Brandon Dowdy had a fun one too. If you want all of that and more, make sure you are checking out the podcast every day. Rate and review. Leave a comment. End of the week. Your question for the week is, what is your favorite ballpark food? And or the most ridiculous thing you've eaten at a ballpark? Mine is the helmet of nachos at a Brewers game. Thank you all for joining us. Slam that thumbs up and go Guardians, go.